One mind, one mind, one mind, one mind. You and I, we are two satellites in the sky. Don't go, baby, baby, don't go, baby, baby, don't go, 'cause my heart's gonna blow. Don't go, baby, baby, don't go, baby, baby, don't go. You're the star of my show. Don't go, 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 don't go. means why no means yes, I can hide. Peace I cannot find. It's alright.
As I take your hand and lead you to the dance floor. As the music dies, something in the eyes calls to mind the silver screen. And all it's sad goodbye. I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. Oh, it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. I should have known better than to cheat a friend and waste the chance that I didn't give up. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I did with you. Of a good friend to the heart and mind. Ignorance is kind. There's no comfort in the truth. Pain is the whole you'll find. I'm never gonna dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm. No, it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. I should have known better than to cheat a friend and waste the chance that I can give up. So I'm never gonna dance again the way I danced with you. Never without your love. Tonight the music seems so loud. I wish that we could lose this crowd. Maybe it's better this way. We heard each other with the things we wanted to say. We could have been so good together. We could have lived this day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin. Good morning again to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We're asking you all at this time to take your seats, please. And for those on the outside, if you're still taking photos or you're still registering, we ask that you do so quickly. Make your way on inside, please. I promise you that the events to come on the inside is way more exciting than that which is outside. Promise you that much. And I know we're enjoying the food, but there will be more, I'm told, right? Yes, there will be more. So inviting you all, please, to take your seats at this time. Thank you so much. How are we feeling this morning? Irie, I love that. You know it. I love that. Irie, indeed. I'm feeling fantastic. It's such a great day for a business reform forum, right? Am I right or am I right? Yes. And I'm going to assume that you haven't seen a person seated beside you in a very long time. So you could just turn to the person and say, good morning, I'm feeling Irie. So we're taking that word, we're taking that greeting and that feeling for the rest of the day, right, Irie? So speakers, please take notes. At the end of your speech, you have to include Irie some way when you wrap up, all right? Please just add it to that. There we go. Thank you so much. You already have it there. Thank you so much. That's what we're talking about. So as we prepare to dive into our proceedings this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I continue to feel so proud to live on this amazing Irie island called Jamaica, right? Yes. And indeed, we do have an anthem, which is a prayer, but we're also going to be beseeching the throne of grace as well. But to kickstart our morning, we ask that you all stand at this time as we sing proudly our national anthem of Jamaica. And then we're going to be inviting Mr. Melvin Smith to come forward with a prayer.
Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Teach us true respect for all. Sir, response to duties, coaches, strengthen us the weak to cherish. Give us patience, lest we perish. Knowledge send us, Heavenly Father, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, Jamaica. Jamaica, land we love.
Wow, thank you. Please remain standing. I never sound like that when I'm singing the anthem. We're going to invite Mr. Melvin Smith to come forward at this time for prayer.
Good morning, everybody. Having prayed that beautiful prayer in the national anthem, please close our eyes for a very short further prayer. Lord, we thank you for this great opportunity that you have brought us together for the Jamaica Business Reform Agenda presentation and forum. Lord, you are in charge. And Lord, you have taken us thus far through the process. And as we use this forum to outline, to explain, to explore, and to set the next steps in motion, Lord, we ask that you may guide us through today's deliberations. We ask that you inspire everybody who shall speak and add value to the proceedings, so that at the end of the day we shall say it was good for us to be here, and that indeed we can have Jamaica land we love go from strength to strength in growth, competitiveness, and indeed the partnership between government and the private sector. These mercies we ask with thanksgiving in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. God is good. You're an A student, right? I can see why. Let's ask the question again, because I know that we do believe that God is good. So God is good? And all the time? No, we sound like firm believers. That is true. Thank you so much. Good morning again to everybody who's joining us here physically, but also for persons joining us online. Thank you all for spending your morning with us. Please allow me to acknowledge some key individuals who are making this morning possible. Please help me welcome Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Wayne Robertson and Mrs. Colette K. Roberts-Risden. Mrs. Latoya Richards Franklin, Acting Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Mrs. Shalette Cox, President of JAMPRO, representatives of the World Bank, members of the National Competitiveness Council. Sounds serious. Other ministries, departments and agencies, representatives, private sector partners, stakeholders online and in person, media practitioners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you all for being here with us. Your attendance today speaks volumes about your commitment to working together to enhance the business environment in Jamaica. And today's forum is a culmination of much of the work of many of you have done to make it easier to do business in our fine island home, Jamaica. Put your hands together for yourselves. Now, we all should be excited this morning. I know I am, and I cannot wait to get into today's agenda because as a woman of business myself, yes, I am vested, have much interest in our local business sector. And I've also been hearing about the new campaign, Building Better. 2 persons alone. Wow, okay, all right. We're getting better, we're getting better. First it was 1 and then there's 2. Building Better Business. Have we heard the jingle yet? No, we haven't heard the jingle yet? Who heard the jingle? Of course, Miss Dyer, you'd have heard it. Can we play a little bit of it?
We're doing business better, better business, so no it is.
Okay, pull up, as we would say in entertainment. No more, don't give them any more. We're doing business better, better. Rehearsal number 1, let's try it again. We're doing business better. That is it. It aims to increase the public awareness of the business reforms that will be discussed in this forum, and I'm eager to hear and learn more about it. Don't worry, Sasco may be passing through, we may not be passing through, we'll see as we proceed. Now, in this forum, we will be learning from each other, and yes, it is a forum hosted by the government of Jamaica, but the efforts to make business in Jamaica better has been a true partnership involving both government and private sector stakeholders. In keeping with the nature of these initiatives, this will be a space for the meeting of the minds, This will be a space that we will have panel discussions in which both members of government and private sector will share their views. Before getting into our panel discussions, we will hear at this time from JAMPRO's president, Mrs. Shalette Cox. Please make her welcome with the official opening remarks. After Ms. Cox has given her presentation, we will hear from the Director General of the PIOJ, Dr. Wayne Henry, who will also share a presentation on Jamaica's business reforms. From Sharifa Powell, she'll follow after that presentation, Project Manager of the National Competitiveness Council, NCC, which monitors the implementation of Jamaica's business environment reform agenda. But before we do all of that, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and let's get started with our presentation from JAMPRO's president. Please make her welcome.
National Development Plan Vision 2030 captures a number of objectives and outcomes to realize better living standards for the people of Jamaica. And it will involve engagement of all the stakeholders to drive economic growth and to realize development for the country. And a key sector, a key component, a key area of that is the business environment. And it's really the private sector. And the Business Environment Reform Agenda is a program facilitated through our Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project, FCGP. PIOJ is the implementing entity for the FCGP, for this with the acronym Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project. And it started initially with a $50 million US loan from the World Bank, geared at improving the business climate and the overall business framework for Jamaica.
FCGP started out back in 2014, 2013. It was developed jointly by the World Bank and the government of Jamaica. It is designed to strengthen the business environment in Jamaica for private sector investments. And what that means is contributing to a number of pillars that are deemed to be foundational to the growth of the Jamaican economy.
The one word I'd use to describe the government's partnership with the private sector is logical, necessary, game-changing,
complementarity,
effective,
Collaboration
is vital. Both government and the private sector working together to make this country great. So it's a logical step to have that partnership and strengthen that partnership over the next coming years.
If we want to realize the types of outcomes, it's going to take collaboration, of course. We have to work together.
Making sure that government services are effective so that our private sector partners can have effective businesses.
There is no world within which we can build an effective framework or enabling environment for businesses to operate without our business partners. We have to hear from them, we have to support them, and we have to create an environment that is informed by the realities that our businesses face on the ground. And so there are no two ways about a public-private partnership. It is how we have to work, it is how we must work in order to grow the economy of Jamaica.
So government has to set the stage, provide the rules, the regulations, the facilitation, and everything to make businesses get established, operate, and flourish.
It's game-changing because it has allowed the COJ as a public sector entity to make changes in a much shorter time than it would have done without the partnership from the private sector.
It's very critical for us working together. We have to come together as one country. We have to be also collaborative in how we work together.
I feel like I could perhaps cross out some pages out of my speech just based off that. But you won't be so lucky. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I want to recognize Senator the Honorable Alvin Hill, the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, and our colleagues from the Planning Institute, Latoya Franklin Richards, the Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and here representing our Permanent Secretary today, representatives of the World Bank, members of the National Competitiveness Council, heads of entities and teams from our implementing partners across government, our private sector collaborators, stakeholders joining us online, media, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to welcome you to the Jamaica Business Reform Forum 2024. I want to thank you all for making the time to be here today, physically as well as virtually. As I was thinking about this event yesterday and reflecting on it, I am reminded of the journey, the personal journey that I have had. 10 years ago, we used to have this event every single year. And this was my first official speaking engagement as Vice President of JAMPRO. So it's extremely surreal to be here today after a hiatus of 5 years as President of JAMPRO. It's absolutely amazing. It's also especially surreal to see so many of you. I did not realize that this is the first physical meeting of the National Competitiveness Council and our partners that implement reforms since COVID in 2020. Some of you I have not seen for a while. And let me just apologize for the people that I didn't greet personally because I only know you online. My apologies. But our focus for this morning is on Jamaica's Business Environment Reform Agenda, or the BERA, as we call it. This agenda is designed to improve Jamaica's investment climate as we seek to position the country as an even more attractive investment destination for both domestic and international businesses, investors, and buyers. I'm sure you can agree, and you would have heard our partners say it in the video just now, that a critical tool for ensuring that government is creating the right framework for businesses is to listen to the persons most impacted. As such, the list of business environment reforms that make up the agenda is identified, facilitated, and monitored by the National Competitiveness Council. And the Council is a public-private partnership body established in 2010 to advance policy advocacy, research, and public awareness of reform initiatives that are being implemented by the government and the creation of a business-friendly environment for private sector in Jamaica. Given that necessity to consult, the public-private collaboration that underpins the NCC is vital. It is essential. And I pause to express appreciation for the collaborative relationship which has been sustained even while I emphasize that there is much more we can do together. These reforms, which are implemented not by JAMPRO, but by several ministries, departments, and agencies, have been changing the way we do business in Jamaica. Improvements in systems and processes grounded in the passing of modern laws and responsive policies have created a platform to increase productivity and efficiency of our business operators, as well as the staff of government entities as they constantly seek ways to serve the business community better. We know for a fact that these reforms, the ones that we've done and the ones that are to come, has and will continue to allow businesses to save time, to save money, and other resources as companies will be able to focus their attention on actual business and growing of their revenue rather than government bureaucracies. Of course, in turn and in time, this will lead to higher productivity, increased employment, bigger company profits, and more earning for Jamaica as a country. I hasten to point out that many of these reforms are not new. Some of them are. But the fact is that the government of Jamaica has been working for many years to implement these changes, always basing our decision on consultation with and receiving feedback from the private sector. We have acknowledged that challenges exist or have existed, and we are addressing them one by one, and in some cases 2 by 2, until Jamaica is viewed as the premier place to do business. So with all of that said, what can we expect here today? Specifically this morning, we are gathered to talk about how the government of Jamaica and the private sector have partnered to work together to build better businesses by improving the ease of doing business in Jamaica. We will hear about the progress that the government partners have made in implementing business reforms that have sought to simplify how business is undertaken. I am particularly looking forward to the 2 panel discussions where we will explore whether we are collectively on the right track with our reform program, and how do we, as both government and private sector, capitalize on the reforms to boost efficiency and productivity. In these discussions, we will hear from representatives in agencies in the public sector as well as our private sector partners as they discuss their perspectives on the role of business reforms that have been implemented and the role that they've been playing in the various areas of overall business environment. Some of you may be aware that for the past 6 weeks, we have been implementing a special national communications campaign geared towards making the public and business persons in particular become more aware of the changes that government has been making to ensure that doing business in Jamaica is easier, faster, simpler, better. And thanks to Debbie, I know that by now all of you would have heard this jingle.
We're doing business better, better business. So no it easy, you have to set up a business. No, you're not.
And while I'm sure that is not the last time you will hear it today, as a special treat and in the true spirit of digital transformation, we will be interspersing some of the special digital highlights of our communication program throughout the morning. So with that in mind, we invite you to listen and participate over the next 2 hours. Our panel discussions will feature question and answer segments where we will invite the audience to ask their burning questions. So please feel free to participate, ask your questions, make your suggestions. There will also be poll questions for you to respond to. I want to thank you all again for attending. I especially want to thank you for your continued partnership in making these reforms come to life and making a positive impact on businesses and on Jamaica. A special recognition and thank you to our partners in the ministries, departments, and agencies across government who continue to show their commitment in implementing the business forms required to build better business together. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together once more, please, for Mrs. Shalette Cox? Thank you so much for underscoring the importance of us being here today, because we're doing... Okay, all right. We're doing bigger business, better, bigger, the business that's bigger and better. And let's just drop the first line again, because we're going to get it today.
We're doing business better business. So no it easy, you have to set up a business.
All right, that is it. We won't give them any more just yet. What did Agent Sasko say? We're doing... there we go. A+ class. Give yourselves a round of applause. That is amazing. Thank you. Now, with Shalette, she presented, gave us some context, background information. We're very, very, very happy to have had that. Well, coming up right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hearing from Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of PIOJ, sponsors of today's proceedings. Dr. Henry will be followed by another in-depth and more detailed presentation about the business reforms. This will be delivered by Sharifa Powell, the project manager in the National Competitiveness Council, which has played a major role in these reforms. Please, we ask you at this time to make Dr. Henry welcome. Thank you.
Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Debbie Bissoon, Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Mrs. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO, Mrs. Latoya Franklin Richards, Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce and representing the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Sharifa Powell, Project Manager of the National Competitiveness Council, NCC, Mr. Metri Siaga, President of the PSOJ, Mr. Sidney Thwaites, President of the JMEA, Mr. Diane A. Edwards, Attorney at Law and President of the Women's Entrepreneurial Network of the Caribbean. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning. You know we got to say it twice. Good morning. When I know our minister, Senator Hill, is from St. Elizabeth. And so I was going through Treasure Beach not long ago and I saw a sign that said lobster tails, $50. And I said, well, that must be US. So I stopped and asked the gentleman there, is this $50 US? He said, no, man, Jamaican. I said, what? And I said, yes, man, I want some lobster tails. He said, you want lobster tails, boss? I said, yes, yes. He said, once upon a time, there was a lobster. Let me say, it gives me great pleasure to bring remarks today on behalf of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, in our capacity as sponsor for the Jamaica Business Reform Forum through the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth Project, FCGP. The PIOJ is the foremost planning agency of the government that seeks to initiate and coordinate the development of policies, plans, and programs for the sustainable development of Jamaica. In fulfilling this mandate, the Institute also leads the implementation of Jamaica's National Development Plan, Vision 2030 Jamaica. The goal statement of Vision 2030 envisions Jamaica as the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. The emphasis on do business is very important. This is where Jamaica's business environment reform agenda comes into play, as it allows us to enhance the business landscape and make it easier for everyone to do business. This is how we will generate income and provide employment, which further contributes to Jamaica being a country of choice. The PIOJ plays a unique role in Jamaica's economic development. Aligned with this role, we house a critical program, the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth Project, the FCGP, a jointly funded project with the World Bank and the Government of Jamaica. The World Bank's funding is through loans with implementation under their support, ending on March 31, 2024. Implementation funded by the Government of Jamaica continues to March 31, 2025. And so the FCGP commenced in fiscal year 2014-15 and was restructured in fiscal year 2017-18 to provide increased funding to reforms and was further expanded by an additional loan plus GOJ financing in fiscal year 2021-22 to extend and accelerate the agenda. The provision of additional loans was directly linked to a record of satisfactory implementation and strong achievement of intermediate results. Continued relevance and meaningful contribution of the FCGP to the GOJ reform agenda are testament to the robust program design. This robust design enabled the FCGP to survive the negative impact of global supply chain disruptions occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic and make a significant contribution to the Digitized Jamaica and broadband rollout initiatives. The FCGP was designed to strengthen the local business environment for increased private sector investment. It does so through three components, namely enhancing competition, facilitating strategic private investments in the form of privatization and public-private partnerships, and improving the productivity of our SMEs. The business sector is critical to employment in Jamaica. Particularly, our MSMEs are viewed as the engine for growth. We know coming out of the 2008 crisis, the global financial crisis, we entered an era 2012 on where we were leaning more heavily, particularly developing countries, on the private sector to drive growth. And we spoke of the private sector-led growth paradigm. If Jamaica is to develop into the country we envision, our people must have jobs and be paid a livable wage. By funding the Business Environment Reform Agenda, BERA, the PIOJ is helping to create the environment for businesses to start up, operate, and do well. Thus, they are able to hire and adequately compensate staff while their tax dollars contribute to the nation's resources for development, benefiting all citizens. The BERA, which we have been supporting, is already changing our business landscape through the implementation of reforms that span the design and launch or upgrading of systems and portals. These include the Jamaica Business Gateway, the Jamaica Development Applications Portal, creation or amendment of legislation such as the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Act, and the overall strengthening of our ability to offer government-to-business G2B services in a more efficient manner. Over the medium to long term, due to these reforms, we expect an increase in business startups, an improvement in employment levels, higher profits to be generated, and higher foreign exchange inflows as our businesses increase exports. The Government of Jamaica is hosting this forum today for us all, government and private sector, to discuss these reforms. Every business in Jamaica will benefit from the reforms which are most applicable, relevant, or useful to their operations. The PIOJ is cognizant that the work is not over. This is a work in progress. The Government of Jamaica has to continue improving these systems and processes as we respond to an ever-changing, highly competitive global environment. I encourage everyone to get informed, stay in the know, continue the collaboration, and reap the benefits of these reforms to support the growth of businesses and ultimately create a more inclusive and prosperous Jamaica, the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business, and of course, to feel Irie. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The government of Jamaica has digitally transformed and integrated many of its business services, all accessible through a centralized platform, gov.jm. Among these transformations are the electronic business registration form, filing taxes with a click online, providing information on importing and exporting through the Jamaica Trade Information Portal, complementing the Jamaica Single Window for Trade, where you apply for permits, licenses, and certificates. The port community system then enables seamless movement of your cargo. Land acquisition and development have also been reorganized through the development of a national spatial plan and information technology platform. The ability to apply for building and environmental permits through the Jamaica Development Applications Portal, supported by an improved Amanda system for agencies to review, comment on, and make decisions on applications. There is also the Jamaica Business Gateway for you to apply for your licenses, register your investment ideas, and access government services needed to enable your business to grow.
Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of the Industry, Commerce, Industry, Investment and Commerce, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry, who always has wonderful jokes, Permanent Secretaries, Mrs. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO, my press, representatives of the World Bank, our moderators, Mrs. Richards Franklin, acting PS for the day, and Mr. Kenneth Reed of the FCGP PEU, heads of agencies and implementing partners, heads of private sector associations, our media partners, distinguished guests in the room and joining us online, a very pleasant good morning. Today is very vibesy, and we'll have more vibes to come. But the task is mine, as Debbie's controlling the vibes, to provide a brief update on the progress being made on the Business Environment Reform Agenda, the BERA, and I'm sure that's an acronym that you'll all be very familiar with by the time you leave here today. One of our buzzwords for today, for sure, and I hope going forward. Dr. Henry and Shulette have already shared with you what the BERA stands for, also what it means. My aim, therefore, is to further define the importance of the BERA and provide an update to you on the progress being made with implementing this very critical agenda for national development. So the National Competitiveness Council had specific goals and objectives, and as we have already appreciated, it includes ensuring that the research is done, monitoring is done. We try to utilize the best practice for consultative, because it is only through consultation that the bearer will bear fruit. Thank you. And I thought I was being loud. What is the aim of the bearer? It makes no sense to have programs or projects without being able to measure if you are on the right track, if you are being successful at what you set out to do. And so the Business Environment Reform Agenda had established from its beginning specific short, medium, and long-term objectives, including to increase the automation of GOG processes in the short run, also very critically for the private sector, a reduction of costs, and not only for the private sector, but also for government, to also ensure that there is greater transparency and predictability in the business environment. Over the medium term, as Dr. Henry has indicated, increased levels of foreign direct investment, local direct investment flows, and of course, job creation. It makes no sense to stimulate an economy without these particular measures. Over the long term, ladies and gentlemen, the bearer aims to support with increased economic growth, sustaining efficiency of government services and processes. What does this mean? It's not only for government, but also for the business community. And so we envisage that the bearer implementation will create faster business decisions by the private sector, no longer having to wait for days or months or years for decisions, and also lowering the cost of production, and in the end, creating growth for businesses, including our MSMEs. The bearer was established, colleagues, not only by a team, or not by a team of persons sitting within the GOG, but looking at international best practice. And international best practice points to the need to ensure, for example, that we have electronic filing and payment systems, that we have a single window through which our exporters and importers can conduct their business, that we have less than a particular percentage, perhaps 10, Mr. Williams, of containers which are searched at the border, not, however, compromising on our safety and security, that we have an increase in shareholders' rights, and they have a role in the operations of decisions of companies, that we have computerized registries, whether it is for land or any other asset of the government, and we also, as players within a global space, fulfill our commitments and remain compliant at the international level. These are the global best practice on which the bearer has been formed. And I will leave it to you to decide if Jamaica is on the right track in fulfilling the bearer and also living up to these global best practices. In the area of paying taxes, however, let me say and just point out, global best practice is being applied. The 15th of March is almost here, and for our taxpayers amongst us, we know exactly what that means. The comfort of being able to do this from our homes, Ms. Horton, is one of those global best practice experiences. I will not give you more examples. We will digest them as we go through the presentation. Shifting to the bearer, and to provide a snapshot as to what exactly is on the bearer. And when I pester the implementing agencies for reports, what big picture do we fit into? So currently, the bearer covers 12 distinct areas of business regulation. And I pause to highlight that this is actually an expansion on the initial indicators which were established at the beginning of the program 10 years ago, to include market penetration and investment facilitation. The bearer carries 49 major reform projects, and 65 activities which are being implemented by over 17 ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And at the risk of leaving somebody out, I hope I don't, I have to say we have the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, we have NEPA, the Bureau of Standards, the Companies Office of Jamaica, JAMPRO, MIC and all its other agencies, the National Land Agency, the Customs Agency, the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, MEGJC, and so many others, sitting at the table to ensure that this agenda is implemented. The indicator areas, though, or the business regulation areas of which I speak, span the continuum of starting a business to closing out a business and anything in between. I won't go through an exhaustive list, but I would invite you to check out the website of the NCC at www.jamaicabusinessreforms.com to get a full appreciation of the list of indicator areas. Where are we? What has progress been? A total of 87 projects are monitored by the NCC and have been implemented by all these agencies since 2010, significantly improving the business environment to ensure that the experience of accessing government services to support business formation and growth is realized. Attention to the legislative and regulatory framework has resulted in 47 reforms being implemented since 2010. Thank you. These include the creation of new laws, amendment of laws, promulgation of regulations to give effect to laws, design of policies and strategies. With the laws and regulations providing the legal underpinning, implementation of the new framework have been realized through the creation of new systems and improved processes. Over the period, 30 projects to digitally transform, including re-engineering of business processes, have been successfully executed. 30 projects, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. These projects have, however, positively impacted over 50 entities which provide government services online, such as in the area of trade, the border regulatory agencies, and the Jamaica Customs Agency. In the area of development approvals, the municipal corporations, all, how many are we now? 14 of them? All municipal corporations, NEPA, the ministry, commencing agencies, fire, national works agencies, and of course, other entities that issue licenses, permits, and certificates. These have been supported by 8 projects dedicated to enhancing the capacities of the entities. As you can appreciate, general institutional strengthening, however, and capacitating ministries, departments, and agencies has been an integral part and parcel of all the reform activities. While the successfully implemented projects are really too many for me to list here today, I will present just a few extremely transformational projects which have impacted positively the business environment. In making it real, if I can use that expression, we have looked at this across 3 areas. The first being providing supports business efficiency and expansion, access to credit, and increased appetite for risk. Oftentimes, if there is no risk, there is no reward. And so it's very critical that our environment encourages and actually stimulates risk-taking. What happens if the risk I'm leading into, it doesn't work out, difficulties? The Office of the Supervisor Insolvency has been strengthened to assist businesses to avoid bankruptcy. Other projects that support this particular area of work, the online payment of taxes, creation of the super form by the Companies Office, where as an independent consultant, if you wanted to get your TCC back in the day, you go to HART, you go to NIS, you go all over. Now, I reapply from the comfort of my home, the click of a button. That makes a big difference. I have now saved myself hours, days, and money and can apply myself to my trade versus chasing a piece of paper. The Jamaica Business Gateway, which you will hear much more about, amendments to the Jamaica Stock Exchange rules. These are some areas that it's not talked about, these specific changes. But when we think about shareholders, minority shareholders having a greater say in the business operations, the decisions, and empowering them, this is a critical part of creating and enabling reform, not for some, but for all. And as I mentioned, avoiding bankruptcy. The second category looks at improving efficiency of the investor experience in acquiring land and pursuing development projects. Some of the critical projects that have been implemented since 2010 include the promulgation of building codes, the development or promulgation of development orders, upgrading the Amanda and the JDAP systems, and we'll hear much more about that later today, steps being taken towards e-titling, and of course, creating a unified space for the land bank that we as government, we as private sector can appreciate where investment opportunities reside. The third and final category I want to highlight as it pertains to what we have really done over the 10 years, expansion of trade through more efficient and coordinated systems and processes. The new Customs Act, the expansion of the Jamaica Trade Information Portal, design and expansion of the Jamaica Electronic Single Window for Trade, expansion of the port community system, and even enhancement of our laboratories to ensure that our products meet the highest quality standards and we don't have to wait for testing to be conducted overseas before we can successfully export our products. We're not measuring ourselves and patting ourselves on our back, just thinking that we're doing a good job. There are international metrics that we still follow to ensure that Jamaica is doing what Jamaica needs to do, and that the world, using these international metrics, can know and appreciate that. So we would all be aware that the World Bank has redesigned its Doing Business report, and we are looking forward to being a part of its new Business Ready report. Locally, however, and this is one of the fundamental achievements of the NCC over the last 6 months to a year, is the creation of a GOJ Efficiency Index. What that means we now have our own local measure to say, how are we doing? Not based just on international standards. Sometimes fit, sometimes it doesn't fit as well, but our own standard, our own measure to say, year after year, how are we doing from a place of efficiency as the government? So in conclusion, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a built-in agenda. As Dr. Henry said, it doesn't stop. It doesn't end here. What does our built-in agenda entail? And I like the fact that we have financing as the first, because we have to continue financing the bearer. We have to respond to the changing needs of society, of the business community. Monitoring. We can believe we're doing well, but everything falling off track. And if there is not efficient monitoring of what we do and reporting, then perhaps it will all be for naught. Engagement and capacity. The systems, the processes need to be supported by people. So whilst we have the computers and we have the portals and we have the systems, we still have the people to drive. And so enhancing the capacities of both the private sector to take advantage of these systems and processes and the public sector to deliver will be a focal point of our built-in agenda. Awareness and utilization of the systems. Awareness. This communications program is a perfect launch pad, and we anticipate that we will continue to build awareness of the bearer and what is being done. Sustainability. The investment that is made today has to reap fruits for those tomorrow. And as such, the onus is on both the government and on the private sector to ensure that we sustain not only the gains that have been made, but also sustain the momentum that we now have in order to ensure that the last 10 years and the future 10 years really does allow us to transform the business environment to see further growth and economic prosperity for all in Jamaica. I thank you.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together again, please, for Sharifa and her presentation. Thank you so much. I did not know that there were so many reforms. Congratulations on the great work. I know some of us have been already benefiting, and we may not have realized, right? So I also hope that we will be able to use some of these reforms in the near future. I know we will for sure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are proceeding with our program, and without further ado, we will have our keynote address. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage a man of business, a man of industry, a man of investment, and a man of commerce. We're talking about none other than our Minister Aubin Hill, who has over 35 years of experience working in the private sector. As an international banker, he has lived in 9 countries and has done business in more than 125. You may be wondering how I know, Minister, but it's right here on the script. He has an MBA from Harvard Business School. Senator Hill has spent 21 years as a banker as well in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, the minister has a firm interest in facilitating, enabling, and encouraging small and large Jamaican businesses to grow and be profitable. His focus is on growing exports exponentially and securing greater local and foreign direct investments into the Jamaican economy. He has responsibility for over 20 agencies and departments. Please put your hands together and let's welcome Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator, the Honorable Aubin Hill.
Better business, so no it easy. You have to set up a business, though you not fit have contacts and big links to get your business start out. Talk about business better business. No it easy. You have to set up a business, so you not fit have contacts and big links to get your business start out. Talk about Jamaica Business Gateway. One single window for cross-border trade, construction permit, real estate, more convenience, less red tape. The application portal online, so you now fit and up in a no long line. That's business faster, improved process. That means smarter, that means no stress.
Visit JamaicaBusinessReforms.com to learn how we are building better business together. Sponsored by JAMPRO and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
So many places I go and they say, oh, the government is doing well, but people don't know about it. Well, when we finish with you, in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, with JAMPRO and everybody else, all the other 20 agencies. I see Dr. Blake here from Trade Board, the company's office. All of us, when we finish telling you, the head of JACISA is here, Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. When we finish with you, and you know, the private sector go join, I see Sydney here from the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and Mitre was on radio last night talking about the budget. When we finish with you, and what's name again? Agent Sasko? You hear him? You have to run it again for them later, Debbie. So that people must know what we're doing. And look at the amount of information that we have. Dr. Wayne Henry, Director of Planning, the Planning Institute of Jamaica, permanent secretaries. I see 2 names here. I'm not sure they're here, but I'll call them. Mrs. Colette K. Roberts-Risden, Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Mr. Wayne Robertson from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. They're very busy with constitutional affairs, so he might not be here this morning. Mrs. Latoya Richards-Franklin, the acting CTD at the MMIC. That's my ministry. Mrs. Shirlette Cox, who is the president of JAMPRO and the agency that is putting on this event here today in collaboration with others. Other agency heads, as I've mentioned, representatives of the World Bank, members of the National Competitive Council, heads of entities and teams from implementing agencies. Then we have our private sector partner, of course, Mr. Siaga, from the PSOJ, Mr. Sidney Thwaites from the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and I see his CEO here, Mr. Larry Watson. Donovan Wignall, who's the president of the MSME, and you know who he is. Mr. Dean Bradshaw is a former, just immediate past chairman of the Construction Industry Council. When this was being planned, he was then the president. Ms. Diane Edwards, former president of JAMPRO, immediate past president, and now president of the Women's Entrepreneurial Network in the Caribbean. And all you media practitioners without whom we can't get the message out, and you must make sure we get the message out. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's Business Ministry, I am pleased to be here at the Jamaica Business Reform Forum 2024, whose theme is driving productivity through the improvement of the business environment. Last night I heard Mr. Jenny Strong, who anytime he gets on the radio, whatever you ask him, he tells you about productivity. It's like wherever they invite me to speak, you're going to hear about exports. I know you're going to hear about big companies must have smaller ones. So Dennis is up there talking about productivity. So this theme is driving productivity through the improvement of the business environment. In business environment, yes, but what is productivity? Productivity is using what you have. If you used to make 20 gadgets, use the same resources and make 30, 45, then you are more productive. It's not rocket science. Now you have lots of engineers and PhDs like Dr. Henry who will give you more technical details. But basically, I'm from St. Elizabeth, that's how you do it. If you have 3 pots and you make 12 pounds to sell at Christmas time, that's pudding for the English people in here. If you make 12 last Christmas and you have the same pans, the same people you're working with, make 15 or 24 this time, your productivity gone up. So you find a way to make sure you get the ingredients together. You lay it out on the counter so you don't have to run to the kitchen and come back for sugar and whatever else you put in there. It's well laid out, and instead of 12, you end up with 20 or 24, your productivity gone up. You may add one young son in there so they can learn to make puddings as well. So the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is mandated with the development of policies that facilitate, enable, encourage economic growth and the creation of many new jobs. And I see people on the internet talking about growth holding back and depleting our resources. If you don't grow, how are you going to take care of the population that is growing? If you don't have economic growth, we have to find better ways and smarter ways to grow, but there is no way of taking away, and especially when you're in our position. I don't care what they want to say in other countries. This country has to grow, and it's we who must make it grow. It is we in here. I keep saying the Canadians are not going to do it for you. The Danes are not going to do it for you. The Germans are not going to do it for us. The people in Singapore are not going to do it for us. Not even our friends in Trinidad are going to do it for us. There you wait. We better do it for ourselves. So we must make sure we get economic growth and job creation going. So it is our mission to substantially improve, and I should let, no, Debbie said, no, it was, should I think, talk about growing our exports exponentially, maybe Debbie too. I'm not interested in ordinary growth. So it is our mission to substantially improve. Now, I'm not sure, and Roxanne knows that I'm going to complain about that split infinitive. We don't do that in my speech. To improve substantially. Not to substantially improve. Don't split my infinitive. If you don't want to know that, you can go check the dictionary. They'll tell you. It's a good fun game. You can go look for it. And Dr. Henry will explain. He's right here. So, we want to improve substantially the collaboration between the government ministries, departments and agencies to produce higher economic growth, increase and sustained job creation. We must continue to create jobs, and not just the old ones, sugar gone, banana almost gone. So now we're looking at logistics. We're scaling down. Oh, incidentally, you see all those wonderful women up there with Dr. Henry? Him can interview them. I have the privilege of working with 4 of the 5 of them. So, Dr. Henry, you can interview. You stay right there interviewing. But you see how, and incidentally, I want to, when things don't go right, I don't hold back. So when our contracted parties get it right, I make sure everybody know they get it right. This is done by the engine room. Engine room did the one with Agent Sasko as well, and out there, and we had some adjustments we had to make. This one, there's no adjustment to be made. Look at it. It's beautiful how they've done it. I said to Sidney Thwaites, JCC, Jamaica Chamber of Commerce can copy it. I told Metri, PSOJ can copy it. And you notice how sharp it is. This is how we want our messages to go. It cannot be, if it's coming from the business ministry, it cannot be shabby. I will cancel it. I am not going to accept it if it's not first class. Because when I'm telling you I want investors from overseas and investors from locally, you think the people who run Wisynco, they run a great business, Grace run a great business, Jamaica Brothers Group run a great business. We can't go there shabby. So nothing out of this ministry and anywhere else out of government must be shabby. So we want to create jobs. We want to make sure we get a much higher level of exports. And because I'm talking about exports, I have to tell you that in 62 years of independence, we have had 1 year of positive trade balance. 1 year in 1966. We have had 61 years of negative trade balance. That cannot work. We cannot get rich that way. So we have a forum like this, Jamaica Business Reform Forum 2024, to make sure you get the point that unless we export a lot more, and I don't care what you're doing, find an export strategy. Because we are 3 million people. Jamaica is not getting bigger. We might do a little bit when we get really rich, like Dubai, and add another island in the sea. But we're not there now. So we only have Jamaica. We're not like in Europe, where you can invade anybody. We can't invade anybody. It's only sea. So we have to make sure that we go and find export markets. This is one of the main reasons why the forum is here, so you can understand that the government is doing everything. And listen to me now. Them say I'm a government minister and politician. I mean, you know them get that after 30 odd years in banking, but now them call me politician, so me accept it. So the Andrew Holness administration is taking all these steps to make sure we make a better Jamaica and make the business ecosystem and the business environment so good that you can really build new products, create new jobs, and export a lot more to make Jamaica richer. I am not interested in poor. No interest in being poor. My only interest in being in government is make sure we do everything that fewer and fewer Jamaicans have to experience poverty. Not interested in it except to obliterate it. We must continue to create a business environment and business processes that create ease in acquiring approvals. That's government, that's us. We make it difficult sometimes. We don't respond sometimes. We feel that we're doing a favor to people who ask us. You ask my team that go with me. I give my number everywhere. I give out Cadian's number. We say, if me in a meeting, Cadian is going to answer it for you. And she never give me any permission, you know, but me take permission and give out her number. Because I give out my number, me give it out all on the radio. Nobody no bother me, because nobody has ever called me and abused it. They call me because they need help. I am here as a servant. I give out my number. And me only have one number. Me have no CUG on my number. So I've had it since I come back to Jamaica, and I give it out. Because people need help. And I can find, Wayne is here, who works out of the PS's office. Latoya is here, who's a CTD. Oh, poor Miss Shelley Leon. Every day she get a WhatsApp from me. I do a screenshot and over to Michelle Dawn. No, that's Kelly Dawn. Shelley Leon. Over to her because she's head of the company's office. And you know we're in the transition. We're making the transition to make the company's office totally online. And not interested, and she knows every other day about her. When? Because if I can stay here and access Sheikh Mohammed's company's office in Dubai, why can't he stay in Dubai and access mine in Jamaica? So, Shelley dear, until we get there, constant monitoring. Sometimes it's nicer than others, but always it's good intention. We must make doing business in Jamaica easier, faster, simpler, and better. So all my agencies know that that's my aim. Everything must be done faster and easier. And I give everybody, every agency head the right to interfere in another agency. Make sure you're right, though. If you cross the line, you better not cross the line into other people's agency and you're wrong. Because they also have the right to, not literally, but figuratively, cut off your feet. So you coming into my agency, I will say, you better be right. You're coming here, come mash up my head, because I'm going to beat up your feet. But we must have the right. When I came in, there were too many silos. So we want, now, I was at something Shillette and you guys put on recently, and there were 5 or 6, Trade Board, not Shillette this time. It was Dr. Blake, Trade Board, Export Jamaica. Listen to me, you have to go to the Trade Board, Jamaica.com. Go there and look for Export Jamaica. They just launched this last week. It's low in the speech, but I'm going to tell you now. 190 companies. When I saw what I think his name is Mills, what Jason Mills was able to bring up on that website, and you stay right here and find out all the trade arrangements that they have in Denmark. You find out what you need to export to Holland. Anywhere you are on the Jamaica Trade Board, wonderful new logo. Change the logo. Just go there to look on the logo. It's very pretty. 2 lovely circles, Jamaica. I won't tell you anymore. Go and look for it. And then you'll search. If you're in export, and it doesn't matter if you're with Cinco or your Grace or your small MSME, it's right there for all of you. Go and search and look at it. It's amazing the information you can get. Right there, launched last week by Dr. Blake and his team and me, and they were collaborating with JBDC, JAMPRO, all kinds of other agencies, which is how I want the ministry to work. The business ministry must be about business. And collaboration is an important part to make sure we do business easier, faster, simpler, and better. We must, in terms of productivity, we must produce at an efficient level and compete at an international level. We must increase our productivity. Please, me tell you about the pone. All on the Kingston people, pone means pudding. Okay? So now tell me about a pone and then you understand what it's pudding. So if you made 12 pudding last year, pone, And this year, you want to increase your productivity. You lay out you buy all the materials early, lay it out, plan it out. You and your assistant, you say, hey, I don't want 12 this year. I have to get 15 to 20 to make sure I'm doing better, or 24 at the top. So you make sure you increase your productivity. I want all of you in government and the private sector, just like a year and a half ago, 2 years, I beg you to talk about export because we never did. We're talking more about it now, not nearly enough. But please make sure you talk and say, how do I increase my productivity? My personal one. How do I read more of those reports that Kelly Dawn and Shelley Leon and Shillette sent to me and Dr. Blake? How do I read more? How do I become efficient? How do I spend my time better to get more out? And increase the product, because you have to increase your productivity to get rich. Much increased productivity is the single most important factor which will drive growth in this country. We can't duck it. I want export, I want growth, but we can't do it unless we become more productive. So we train. Last year, through JAMPRO, and the BPO sector, we trained 509 supervisors and managers in the BPO sector. Step up. Remember, you guys used to talk about, oh, it's a BPO job. No job. You're mad. Last year, the Prime Minister did something fantastic. They opened a big facility out there. So after the speech is done, I'd walk up into the BPO site. I went to three of them. See a guy in his jeans and T-shirt and his headphone and his... So I asked him what him do. Him tell me him doing, I can't disclose, him doing all the marketing and backup and delivery arrangements for a big U.S. company. The guy looked like him just ordinary. So, all right, me leave it and go down because me hear people say there's no good jobs in a BPO. So I go down and I walk in the car park myself. I didn't see any ladder. I didn't see any Pro Box. I see BMW, I see Benz, I see all the fine Toyotas, I see SUVs, and the people are doing well. But, you know, before the pandemic, we had 43,000 of them employed. Today, we have 62,000. We're probably making over $1 billion in income from that sector. So don't you tell me about my BPO sector, because me out there are proud of it, driving it, and we're going to make sure we step up on the knowledge train. For instance, today, you might not know this, KPMG has, I don't know, 700, 1,000 people right down there on Wall Street, oh, I said Wall Street, I meant Harbour Street. It might become our Wall Street in due course. So, right there on Harbour Street. You know what they do? All the work that's done in America for KPMG, the backroom work, they give it to two countries, India and Jamaica. There might be a third, but I think it's India and Jamaica. These days, anything that is required in Chicago, where they're headquartered, the first call comes to Jamaica. They're looking to expand. Kelly, we have to do something about that. Where's Kelly Dawn? We have to do something about that, you know, the law. You and your lawyer. All right, we met on it, so you're working on it. So we have to do more to get more of that business. The assistants, many of the assistants to the partners in Chicago are Jamaicans working in Jamaica using the technology. In other words, Cadian is my assistant. If I'm working with KBMG in Chicago, my assistant might very well be in Cadian in Jamaica, but it's in Jamaica. It's employing a Jamaican. So that business, that knowledge business is increasing. So we must make the processes, which is why Kelly Dawn and Janice Williams are working on looking at the law to make sure we bring it up to date. Through new and amended legislation right there, capacity building and digital information, We have improved many of our government business processes. We have automated processes, making it digital. Steps and procedures are reduced. Efficiency is increased, and value to the private sector is realized. This is what transforming the business landscape is all about, and it's being done. Now, I want to challenge the private sector. I never talk unless I challenge them. Private sector rightly complain that government procedures are cumbersome, bureaucratic, and sometimes downright a disincentive. So private sector, and I've said this to a couple of the presidents, I believe Sydney last week, so you heard this before. We in government need you to be a lot more proactive. You don't write. In other countries, the private sector, them have a whole heap of lobbyists, and them take the law and them draft the law and say, Mr. Congressman, my senator, this is the law I want done. None of that work is being done, not much of it is being done by the private sector. A lot more of it must be done. You're using it, you see a law that doesn't make sense or a place where there should be some regulation. You have lawyers, draft the thing, bring it to me. As I say, I give out my number on the radio. This business minister wants to make sure Jamaica is a better place. Bring it to me. I will have my technical people look at it, and I will take it to cabinet, which is the first step, and then to parliament. Give it to me. Burden me with it. But don't just complain. So every time you complain to me about a regulation, you know we're going to hear. Where is the draft that you're bringing to me or you sent to me? You don't send no draft, no complaint. It sounds kind of rough, but it makes sense, not true? Because if you're so bright, you have lawyers, when you make a whole heap of money, and you're going to say that the legislation will work, and you know, send me a draft to change it, and you have a minister who will take it forward for you, then how you mean? We can't work that way. So as you challenge me and say, look, the government is inefficient, and I work to change it, you help me change it by telling me the legislation that you want to have put in place. I will champion it, and we will discuss it. If we have to make adjustments, we do that too. Reforms. I'll talk to you about a reform, and one is the Jamaica Development Application Portal. It's JDAP, which enables the Ministry of Local Government, municipal corporations, and the National Environment and Planning Agency to interact with developers to process building and environmental permits. There's so much building going up around the place. We need it to be a lot more efficient. So JDAP is currently piloted in 3 municipalities, St. Anne, St. James, as well as Kingston and St. Andrew. This system is going to greatly change the way we approach building and environmental permits. It's a humbug to many people. We have to have them, so how do we make them more efficient? Business can submit their applications online through an improved Amanda system, and there was a time when Amanda needed improvement. I remember at the beginning when I joined the EGC in 2016, 17, 18, Amanda needed help. They've done some serious work on it. The commenting agencies can review applications, provide comments, and make informed decisions. We look at the Development Assistance Center, and I want especially developers to understand what this means. When I met it a few months ago as the chairman of the National Competitive Commission, I was amazed. I didn't even know it exists. So I know other people don't know it exists, so I'm going to tell you about it. Quickly, the Development Assistance Center, which resides within the National Environmental and Planning Agency, NEPA, provides pre-application guidance, not pre-application approval. Don't mix it up. Pre-application, we can then go to the minister say, you're pre-approved and then I can't get it, and the minister lie. Please. Not this one. Okay. The National Environment and Planning Agency provides pre-application guidance to clients. It operates as a resource center for developers and provides advice to assist in the pre-application process, which is a precursor to the submission of a formal application. Those developers and architects who use it have a lot of praise on the DSC. If you haven't met it, go and meet it. It's in NEPA. That's where they can find it, Shillette Horse and Jampro's, on NEPA's website, and use it. It's really, really effective. It cuts out a lot of headache and heartache and time. From January 23 to August 2023, Jamaica total export increased by 29% when compared with the corresponding period in 2022. During the period July 2023 to September 2023, Jamaica's GDP grew by 2.1%. And in 2022, the year of 22, we actually grew by 5.7% coming out of the pandemic. So we are changing. Jamaica is enhancing its export endeavors, and encourages more MSMEs to adopt the export agenda. Let me tell you, MSME, continue to do well in Jamaica. You really want to get rich, work with our agencies, JIPO, JANAC, to make sure you do your testing. The Business Bureau of Standards Jamaica, again, another agency, NCRA, get your testing done so you can export and really get rich if you do it well and consistently. The Jamaica Trade Information Portal, JTIP, under the mandate of the recently rebranded Trade Board, provides guidance, and I told you about the Export Jamaica website and portal that you can use to make your exports easier. The Jamaica Single Window for Trade, J-SWIFT, is designed to assist businesses with trading overseas. Now, all these have been there. When Diane was president, J-SWIFT was at JAMPRO. JAMPRO talked about it, but we don't use it enough. Some people are using it, and they're getting benefits. So we're here to tell you that J-SWIFT, JDAP, and that agency, JDAC, especially DSC, in NEPA, are extremely useful. Go and sit down on your computer, get off of your phone, and social media messaging, and go search the websites of. Just start with this ministry. There are other ones, but that's not my job here today. I know you have to go to customs, so I don't have to tell you about that. You will have to go to tax TAJ. I see TAJ's representative here with us. Maris is always there to help us. She's going to help me now to make sure I can get back on the portal to pay my property taxes. She always helps me. And then the truth is, TAJ I've found to be extremely helpful, and I pay my taxes from anywhere in the world just like I'm in Dubai. It really works. Another way that government is helping to make your life easier. So J-SWIFT is there. The port community system connects our traders with international markets and also enable our input materials to drive our productive sectors. Our special economic zones, as I mentioned, Kelly Dawn and her colleagues are here, are also creating new opportunities for local businesses and foreign companies to provide their goods and services to the global markets. By incentivizing these productive activities, the SEZ regime is positioned to boost manufacturing, logistics, global digital services, and other activities that drive the growth of our economy. How many times have I said growth of the economy? Ad nauseum. I'm going to say it till you're tired, and I will never be tired of saying it. So you're going to hear it often. In April 2024, JACISA, Kelly Dawn just walked in the blue sweater, will be rolling out their online application system on Jamaica Business Gateway, a product created by JAMPRO. We launched Jamaica Business Gateway here, this hotel, last year. Soon, developers and occupants can upload their application information for a full online experience from application to decision. The Jamaica Business Gateway, which we launched under the National Investment Policy, created the framework for the design of that gateway. The Jamaica Business Gateway enables businesses to register their investment idea and in so doing access the supporting services to bring that idea to fruition. Currently, there are 16 processes, re-engineered, improved, and automated, which enable applications for numerous licenses: cannabis, tourism licenses, registration of pharmaceutical and medical devices, film registration. Film is a growth industry in Jamaica. Remember Bob Marley just down here by none other than Paramount. Paramount, who do things like Yellowstone. You know, I hear my wife talking about it. Once in a while I pass and I see it. So Paramount has been here. Jamaican movie makers are here and excited. You can't believe how they're excited. There's $1 billion in there for over 2 years. Clearly there's a process to follow, but JAMPRO is making it as efficient and easy as you can through the film fund and the film commissioner. But I couldn't stop and not mention the budget. Here, whole heap of chat after Minister Clark doing thing yesterday. No new taxes for 8 consecutive years. That's a historic mark in the country of Jamaica. And people take it for granted. I remember in 2011, 12, 13, 14, I was writing for the Glean at the time. Every single year, and maybe 20 years before that, all you listen for is what the finance minister going to tax us on. If on a rum, a property, then GCT, no new taxes for 8 years. Do you know what that means to the growth of the country? That's why we're where we are. Do you know that the government has been out of the capital markets? That means them not selling a whole heap of bonds to suck out money and leave the money for the private sector. Mr. Metri, I heard Metri on the radio last night, he was pleased with the budget. Now Metri and Sydney and all those people in the private sector must be very happy because the government used to crowd them out every year with selling bonds to get money to spend. Well, the Andrew Holness administration, not any new taxes in 8 years. I mean, I don't care what you think. We should get a clap for that. Give me a clap. Because when you sit down so quiet, me have to wake up, and that deserves a clap. But look at what we've done. We've looked at the population. Dr. Clark has and his team, and they look at both ends. They look at the young end, they look at the top end, the older aging end, and they look at the middle. At the aging end, those people who are getting pensions and 55 years and older will get really a substantial relief from taxes. It's amazing. Those who are at the younger end, no guarantors for student loans. You know how hard that used to be. I've guaranteed since I've been back to Jamaica student loans. That's gone. Apart from what we did at Heart Trust, where we don't charge you any more for those courses, people in Jamaica have the chance for the first time to really ramp up their education. And the Minister of Finance, my colleague, Dr. Nigel Clark, has made sure no guarantors at the lower end of the population. At the higher end, we give you a pension relief, and in the middle, 1.5 has become 1.7. Now, that's very dear to my heart. Most of you, many of you might know that I've been very closely identified with that number. in 2016. And that really changed how we look at taxing Jamaica. And we made it clear at the time, we do not believe in direct taxes. Some of it you have to have. You have to have some income tax still. We want to get to the place where we don't have income tax. You have indirect tax. Why? Because an indirect tax is a GCT tax. Just call it that. Let me explain. When we get to the place where we have more indirect tax, you decide when you want to pay taxes. Because only when you buy a service or a product will you pay tax if it's indirect. So we want to reduce the direct tax so you have more alternative to decide when you actually pay tax. So when you buy something and the indirect taxes captures everybody. Everybody has to eat. Some of the stuff that you buy, you have to pay GCT on. And therefore, and when those people who have wonderful accountants who show them how to hide the taxes, not hide it, it's called avoidance, it's legal. When you go and buy your expensive car, you have to pay GCT on it, we get you. So while you might be able to avoid the income tax with your accountants and tax lawyers, you can't avoid it when you go to Mr. ATL or whoever you go to buy your car. You're going to get the indirect tax. So it's good, and you pay taxes when you choose. So no guarantee for student loans, but procurement. Many of you won't believe how important this is. Dr. Clark said we're going to take out many of those steps. That sectorial procurement, I'm chairman of the infrastructure committee for cabinet. So anything over 60 million comes to us. And I always wondered, and I'm never going to be in anything as diplomatic as Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. She knows how to word it properly. So I'm from St. Elizabeth, so excuse me. I sort of did think all along that the sectorial procurement process was, let me say, superfluous. Telly Dawn is shaking her head because she knows that's not the word I want to use. But for this gathering, it was superfluous. Well, Dr. Clark said it's going. He's raised the level that you can choose. Some of it move from 3 to 5, 30 to 60. And I'm going to close by saying to you that big companies must help small companies. And I'm going to tell you a real life story. Miss Marcia Nicely is over there. Her two sons, Mark and Damon, are over there. They own Mark Design. When I came back to Jamaica, the time came for NCB, which I was running, to buy uniforms. They bring this uniform to me, and I see that they're importing it from our biggest trading partner. So I look at it and said, no, I'm not signing it. Because when I went to school, a dressmaker made my shirt and a tailor made my pants, and the dressmaker made all the uniforms for the Hampton girls and other girls that were in school. But sir, when we buy the uniform in Jamaica, they don't fit well. All kind of stuff. I mean, here all kind of sus. Me just bother with it because me know I'm going to change the policy. So I said, I did a little check. I said, when they make the uniforms overseas, they all fit perfectly? No, they don't all fit perfectly, sir. So who fixed them? You send them back overseas? No, we get the local seamstresses to fix it. So, I mean, they can fix it, but they can't make it? I said, that is nonsense. So I said, who's the head of the JMA at the time? JMA it was. Doreen Frankson. Doreen didn't know her, got to know her well, worked well with her. Send me the 3 best uniform manufacturers. Send me 3. We picked Mark by some system. Mark Design got it. Call in Miss Nicely. why you didn't work with us? She said, well, you know, she was hesitant. I said, I just come to Jamaica. I don't know all the people, so you can tell me. Because I know what it is. It's risky. You say something and then they block you out again. So she told me, I said, they only give me a 1-year contract some long time ago. Fine. So I called in my people. I said, this is NCB, big bank. Them give her a 1-year contract. We have maybe 1,800, 2,000 people. I said, give her a 5-year contract for $80 million. At the time, Miss Nicely, if I remember correctly, was operating out of a 1,500 square foot house she had. Therefore, she's in a residential area. She's illegal. Sooner or later, somebody will tell her, go report her that she'll make uniform in this place. So she got that contract. She built her business. Today, Mark Design operates out of a 24,000 square foot building that they own. They have 140 people. Maybe when I saw her, she had, I don't know, 10, 15, 7, I don't know. Small number. 140 employees today. And she is, this part really, really bless my heart. She exports to 13 countries around the world. Jamaican government, through the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, is here to make sure we make your life better at business. We make sure through our agencies that you will do very well. Company's office is going to get better. You're going to sit in Dubai or Finland and do everything you want online, because that's how we're going to do it. Jumper is going to get better, and we're going to make sure iron sharpen iron, so we work with each other, we push each other, push higher up, not down. Not push aside, push up, so that we get better at it. And big businesses must work with small businesses to help them. And small businesses use the government facilities and step up to the plate, because no business, no big business want to work with shabby work done. So get efficient, get productive, and all of us help each other. Big help small, small. Oh, go to Mr. Mahfood. You know how? Go to Mr. Mahfood at Wasinko. Go to Grace and see what they're doing that they shouldn't be doing. That you and 3 of your friends, an engineer, an IT person, set up a business and say, Mr. Mahfood, I know you're good at it. Well, you know what? You keep making drinks. Let me do this logistic piece for you. Don't expect that I'm going to come and put the business in your hand. Go look for the business. This is Jamaica's business ministry. Go forth and get rich every single day. God bless you.
Drops mic and just hops off the stage like a true rock star. Ladies and gentlemen, I think by now I'm supposed to be telling you about where next year to see you, Senator, perform, because that was amazing. Please put your hands together one more time, please, for our Senator. Listen, we should have had a soundtrack, some kind of music after that presentation, and the way he exited that stage. He deserved drops mic, right? Exactly. We need a Kanye West, something, you know, something irreverent, something just, and wow, incredible. I don't know about you, but I'm uncomfortable in a good way. In a good way, sir. Thank you so much. There we go.
So no it easy, you have to set up a business. Don't you not
that is the soundtrack right there.
To get your business sort out. Talk about.
We are doing better business. Business even better and better and better. Thank you so much for challenging us, Senator. Thank you so much for making it clear that we have no interest in being poor. And we need that printed on our shirts, sir. So I think we should advocate for that to be the next print. Yes. Shillette, we need that printed, right? We have no interest in being poor. I think that would be a hit. When Senator goes on tour, we can have that in the merch tent, right? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it was all about growing the economy. Thank you so much again, Minister, for your presentation. We are proud of the work from your ministry, and we welcome all the developments that benefit the business community, and we stand ready to work to meet our national objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, can we just give all our speakers a big, rousing round of applause for all the presentations? Thank you so much. And before we move on, we'd like to just test, if you're still here with us. So we're going to take part right now in our first live awareness poll. What's going to happen is that there's going to be a QR code on the screen, and you're asked to scan the QR code right now with your smartphones. I know everybody inside here has a smartphone. I know. Yeah, because as Minister said, we have no interest in being poor, so we don't have bangers around here. We have smart devices. There we go. Scan the QR code, and then we're going to be going through the questions together. And I know for the persons joining us online, please go ahead and scan that code for me, please. We're going to be asking you some questions, and please do not forget to hit submit after you've made your selection. So let's get into the questions, please, as soon as everybody has scanned that code. There we go. I hear the instructions being handed out already. All right, I'm going to go through the questions. Do we have the questions for the screen? The first question should read, here we go. Where can you find information about the business reforms in Jamaica? Is it all of the above? JamaicaBusinessReforms.com. Implementing agency websites, NCC, MIIC, and JAMPRO social media pages. I think all the above is getting a lot of votes. And that is question one. Question two. Question two. And we are seeing the interactions happen live. Do you know that you can register a company with the Companies Office of Jamaica online? Did you know that? Yes, I heard a little about it. No. The polls are coming in. Thank you so much for participating. Your feedback is very important to us. All right, next question. How aware are you of business reforms in Jamaica? As highlighted by the previous speakers, should be one previous speaker, but they're, previous speakers, three previous speakers. All right, it says, I know more than many. I'm a genius. I'm still learning. Unaware, basic knowledge. Go ahead and send in your responses, please. And we're getting the stage ready at this time, ladies and gentlemen, because we are indeed ready to build better businesses together. And by together, we mean a real partnership, including government, business leaders, and even our international development partners. So let us bring together some of our distinguished guests for our first panel discussion of the morning. The topic is, are we on the right track with business reforms? Now, this panel will be led by Latoya Richards-Franklin, Acting Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Latoya started her career in the field of economic analysis and policy research, working as a senior researcher at the Caribbean Policy Research Institute and later serving as senior economist at the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, focusing mainly on the special economic zones and the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises and entrepreneurship policies. She is a certified project management professional, PMP, and a ProSci certified change practitioner. She obtained her Master's of Science in Economics from the University of the West Indies, Mona, where she specialized in the fields of game theory and also monetary economics. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Honors in Economics and also International Relations. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Let's invite up to the stage at this time to moderate and manage this first panel discussion, Mrs. Richards-Franklin. She looks absolutely lovely. Here you go.
Thank you so very much. Senator, the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Permanent Secretaries, Mrs. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO, representatives of the World Bank, heads of private sector organizations, members of the National Competitiveness Council, agency heads and teams from implementing agencies, stakeholders online and in person, media practitioners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, great morning. Great morning. Awesome. And as we were told earlier, we are to respond by saying we're feeling airy when you're asked or you're feeling, so let me try. How are you feeling? Awesome. Like to hear that. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to moderate our first panel this morning. The focus is on a question which asks, are we on the right track for business reform? Now, during the discussion, our panelists will proffer views on varying aspects of the business environment reform. For one, we will look at the significance of the reform agenda and the areas with the greatest impact for the private sector. We will then look also on how the reform is propelling businesses and industries given the logistics-centered economy focus. And of course, we can't leave out what's happening globally in terms of AI and big data. So we'll ask whether the pace of digital transformation under the existing BERA reflect what businesses, industries require in terms of real-time data and services to aid business decisions and investments. Joining me this morning, ladies and gentlemen, for exciting discussion, please help me in welcoming our panelists. Stephanie McLean, Senior Director, Land Titles, Registrar of Titles from the National Land Agency. Welcome, Ms. McLean. Mitri Siaga, President, Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. Welcome, Mitri. Kelly Dawn Hamilton, CEO, JASEZA. And last but certainly not least, Larry Watson, CEO of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Larry. So let's get right into our discussions with our first question that I'll pose to all our panelists. Why does Jamaica need a business environment reform agenda? I'll ask Mr. Watson to start us off with the discussion.
Well, good morning, everybody. I think to grow, we need to ensure that all Jamaica is productive. And what the business reform agenda does, it has identified about 45 different touch points that this agenda focuses on across government ministries, across all areas of Jamaica, and it strives to get them more efficient. And in getting them more efficient, that stems itself into productivity. So in a simple example, if you're going to the tax office to renew your driver's license, or you're going to pass your car or license your car, if it's going to take you 4 hours to do that, that is not as efficient as it is going to take 1 hour. So what this reform agenda does, it identifies in many, many areas, you know, what the issues are, what the challenges are, and strives to make them more efficient. So that's what it does.
Thank you so much. Kelly?
Thank you so much. So why do we need a reform agenda? Simply because it provides the blueprint. It prioritizes for us, clearly sets out what we're going to focus our attentions on, having identified what our challenges are. So I think that is why. And an event such as this brings focus to it. It highlights what we have done, where we may have fallen short, and guides us in relation to where we need to go. So I think that is why the BERA is quite important.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mitri.
Every day as business people, we run a race. And if there are roadblocks, and stumbling blocks in the way of us running that race. We're going to run a slower time than our competitors who don't have those roadblocks. What business reform is about is clearing those roadblocks so that we have a clear, open road to run our race as fast as we can and as efficiently as we can.
Thank you so much. Stephanie.
Morning again, Latoya. Well, in any scenario, a comprehensive and a systematic approach is the best approach. And I believe that's what BERA is, especially for implementing agencies such as the National Land Agency. What we find is so critical to us is the enabling of the sourcing of critical and limited resources such as technical support and funding, and that support is we couldn't do without it. So for us, when we think of BERA, it's putting the right people in the right room at the right time and just enabling us to implement the reforms.
Thank you so much. So I know most of what we're trying to do, will involve the focus on the private sector. And so I'd like to ask Larry and Mitri, as you know, the NCC focuses on governance, business process reengineering, digital transformation, and institutional strengthening in its reform agenda to improve the business processes, procedures, and to foster conducive competitiveness in terms of what we're doing in the business environment. Now, in your view, of all these areas, these 4 major planks, which has the greatest impact for the private sector?
Metri, you first.
So I would say that there is no one greater than the other. It's like if I ask you which of those 4 legs on that chair is the most important. If you take away one of them, the chair is less stable. I think it depends on your circumstance, it depends on your business model, it depends on your business. So how I would look at it is that they're all important to different people and to different circumstances and different scenarios. I think that our job is to get them all done in a timely manner.
Thank you so much, Larry.
And I think that's well said with the chair and the 4 legs. And I think one of the lessons that we have learned through the pandemic, for example, and it has accelerated this whole reform program, is the digitization of Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that what it has really shown us is that where we had to walk into organizations to do things, it has really forced us to digitize, which has been part of the agenda in the first place, but it really just brought it to the front burner. So, you know, maybe today, one may have a better rating than yesterday, but overall, we need everything on the front burner and to be dealt with. And, you know, even with looking at the criteria and the 45 criteria, and you had an international ranking in the past, you know, it really focused us as to just getting them right. So all areas are equally important.
Thank you so much. And Kelly Dawn, we want to know, based on the mix of variables in the reform agenda, are we selecting the right mix that will propel our industries and businesses in this day and age? And in the context of our logistics-centered economy approach and the need to build the number of investment attractions that we will need to ensure we are growing the economy, do we have the right mix?
That is a good question. Do we have the right mix? My answer to that question is yes. But importantly is our ability to be adaptable. One of the things that we have included in the BERA as a response to what was happening on the ground is productivity. You know, that wasn't a part of it before. One of the things that we have to consider now when we're looking at digitalization is the whole implementation of AI and how we treat with that. Now coming out of COVID, you know, e-commerce is the way to go. If you're thinking about doing business now and not thinking about how to digitalize, then you're a little bit behind the 8 ball. So to answer the question, yes, I think we have the right mix, but importantly, we have to be able to adapt to what is happening on the ground. For us at the Special Economic Zone Authority, digitalization is important. Being able to access the process from anywhere in the world on your phone, online, that's critical. And so we are happy that we will be on the Jamaica Business Gateway come April. And so our SEZ partners, like the PSOJ and other members of the private sector, will be able to conduct their processes online. So trading across borders the mix that we have on the reform agenda is huge. It is wide. Sharifa went through the various numbers of activities. Larry mentioned it a while ago, over 60 odd activities that we have. But we know that it is a process because the world is continuously changing and we have to adapt. When we envisioned the Jamaica Business Gateway a couple of years ago, where we were and where we are now are two different spaces. But again, it comes back to how willing we are to adapt to these changes in order to keep pace. In terms of, from a logistics perspective, for the Special Economic Zone Authority, I mean, our objective is to make Jamaica the logistics hub of the Caribbean, but we can't do it alone. And I think that what is important to understand in any reform agenda, in any thrust to drive economic growth, we as the facilitators on the government end must partner with our private sector in order to hear what the challenges are so that we can remove the roadblocks. As Metri said, if we have a chair with 4 feet and we remove one of them, the chair becomes less stable. All the facets are important, but again, the reform agenda helps us to prioritize that importance and we are able to direct our resources accordingly. So, yes, to your question, I mean, an important part of the growth is the partnership. So we have to continue to work together, move together, to assess what is and to determine where we're going. We have to live in the present and the future. This bearer is not a function of something that happened yesterday. It's a function of work that began years ago. And so in order to progress, we have to keep looking, fixing, tweaking, making changes, and moving forward with implementation.
Thank you so much. And we have, of course, NLA here, and NLA is among the quite a bit of MDAs that are enablers, implementers of the reform. And we would know that when we're implementing reforms, there will be changes that sometimes mean people change, system change, procedural changes. We'd like to know, Stephanie, whether there's an example of a major reform effort to be undertaken by the NLA. And we'd want to ask that you share with us how this will transform the NLA and generally land administration in Jamaica.
Okay, well, NLA was identified from very early on as an implementation agency and an agency that needs to be targeted as it relates to digital transformation. As you know, the NLA is responsible for the management and administration of all Crown lands. So you can see why we would have been targeted early on by NCC. So one of the functions of the NLA is a registration of transactions, mortgages, leases, sales, which is of course very important. But right now, that process is a completely paper-based process, and it's a manual process. So what we're working on closely with the NCC and with PIOJ and JAMPRO as our supporting groups is to implement an electronic titling system to replace our paper-based system and to go completely electronic and digital. Right now, with our paper-based system, we've hit the ceiling. We can't improve anymore with the current system, and we need that injection of technology. So we're hoping that with this injection of technology, what we'll see within the NLA is a total change in the way that we function and we serve our customers, and even the way in which our individual divisions interact with each other, the more sharing of information and the more organic sharing of information. But for external customers, for sure, what we expect to see with the increase or the improvement in our operational efficiencies is faster processing times. We're looking at registering transactions within minutes instead of weeks or days or even months sometimes. and also a greater transparency, because you're able to then go online and quickly see what the status of your matter is. We already have major buy-in from our external stakeholders, especially the younger ones who don't want to come into the office. They want to sit where they are and conduct their business. So it's a very exciting time for the NLA.
Thank you so much. And I like the fact that we are looking at the digital transformation aspect, because that is, we are in a day and age where Gen Zs and other such-minded young persons, they want to be able to get things done quickly. They want solutions. And of course, businesses, we want to be able to do it now, and we want to get the services done right now. We want information now. We're in the now day and age, right? So I'd want to know from the private sector, Larry and Mitri, we know we're focusing on digital transformation under the agenda. And this is critical because we want to ensure we're on top of things, right? The world is at the fourth industrial revolution, where we're talking about AI, we're talking about big data, we're talking about data analytics. And the need for this in making business decisions, in making investment decisions. I'd want to know, are we doing digital transformation at the right pace?
Well, I think it can be accelerated, okay? And, you know, this committee has, or this project has been around since 2010. When you look at the sequence of what has been achieved, a significant amount of them has been in the last, 3 or 4 years. When you look at the trade board, you know, Hugh Blake is there, and he has just launched his new digitized trade portal. You know, question, why wasn't that done 5 years ago? And it's great that it's done now. Now, what this forum is about, what this public presentation here is to share with everybody, and to be quite honest, to put pressure on organizations, government units, and individuals to move the process. You know, the land agency, the lady just mentioned, you know, what she's doing, and, you know, we have to get it right. If you go, for example, to Canada, you can lodge a check with a photograph and you can lodge the check. Can we do that in Jamaica? Question mark. So within the private sector, within the public sector, we now have to look to say, if we really want to put ourselves in the forefront and at the cutting edge, you know, of technology, of where it can be, we really have to push the envelope to make sure we get there. And I think the younger persons are pushing the envelope. They are pushing pressure on the system because they are aware of what can be done and ensuring that companies and government institutions really do it properly. So I think it is going quite well. I think we can do it much better and much faster, and there is a will to do it, and hopefully it will get done in short order.
Thank you so much, Mitri.
No, we haven't done it fast enough. It should have happened faster, but it didn't, and we are where we are today. We need to now speed up from here. We need to get the process moving much faster than it has already. But functions like today, events like today are going to help that and be a part of that process. So I'm confident that we will move now from strength to strength.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to ask, because we're looking at the youth and the fact that, you know, we have to plan for generations to come. So I'd like to ask each of you to provide your remarks on whether we are undertaking reforms that will have a lasting impact on generations to come. I'll ask Stephanie to start.
Okay, well, I mean, we're all here, but in a few years, we're going to be making way for the Gen Zers and the Generation Alphas. They don't want to know anything about paper. They want everything digital. They want easy access. So if we start these reforms now, by the time it's their time to take over, they're ready, they're running, and they're already further and beyond.
Thank you so much. Mitri?
Yeah, you know, technology moves at a swift pace, and we need to make sure we're keeping up with it, and we need to make sure that by the time we finish this process, we are not left way behind in the paper age again. So whilst we have to look at doing what we're doing now, we also have to look forward. And we have to look at what is to come 5 years down the road so that when we reach there, we're not surprised.
Thank you so much, Kellyanne.
Yes, I think what we're doing, we have to conceive of making the changes now that will impact tomorrow's Jamaica. That is the drive. We are here today because of work that people before us did, and we're reaping the benefits of that. Let us not acknowledge that things have happened, and Jamaica has really done a tremendous job in a number of areas. I mean, we have our manufacturers that are in countries across the globe, in spaces that you wouldn't even know about. So yes, absolutely, we have to think about tomorrow in terms of how we manage the areas of responsibilities that we have as agencies, public, private sector. And yes, we have to move, as Metri said, wearing two hats. What is happening now and what will happen in years to come so that the reforms that we implement will meet the demands of the future.
Thank you so much, Larry.
I think what is for sure is that the time frame between one revolution and another is shortening. When you look at the Industrial Revolution, and that transitioned into the computer revolution that started in the 70s, and now we are into a new revolution. And I think you'll see the shortening of time and the impact on society is going to be significant. And all that glitters is not gold. You know, we look at AI and we see it has good and it has bad. The truth of the matter is that AI has been around for some time. They have been working on AI from you had Siri, that was AI, talking to machines, but it is now taking a new era, a new generation, and we have to be part of that change, but knowing the limitations and making sure that we take the best of it and integrate it in our society.
Thank you. And as we close, I'll ask each of you in 30 seconds or less to name one aspect of the business environment reform process that is going very well in your view. I'll ask Larry for you to start, and then we'll go ahead.
What process is going very well? Well, I think the whole business reform, the whole digitization of the government and its processes are going well, and it's just up to the individual areas to ensure that they take it on to bring it home.
Thank you, Kelly.
I think the digitalization process is going well. I mean, certainly for us at the Special Economic Zone Authority, moving to a space where our application processes will be online is exciting for us.
Thank you, Mitri.
100% of procurement, government procurement is now online. I think that's very important, and our ability to be able to pay our taxes all online is a big step in the right direction.
Thank you so much. And Stephanie?
I keep it close to home. The legislative reform that took place with the registration of property, we've definitely seen real benefits from that.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We heard from some powerful minds. These are people who are senior officials, senior executives in organizations, and they are able to give you their point of view on the business reform agenda. We thank you so very much. Please give them a round of applause. Okay. We're going to be... Okay. Yes, I've been told that we can allow for 2 questions. So if you have a question, please signal. Right, we have a microphone right there for those that may want to ask a question, pose a question to our panelists. Not all at once. I think there's one person. No, it was just checking. All right. So if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we will address them. Thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once more, please. for our moderator, Latoya Richards Franklin, and our panelists as well. Wow, the information was so good. No questions, right? A lot of information to take in. Well, we're at that point in the program. I see some serving happening at the back, but I'm very happy that we have persons seated still in the audience, and we're so thankful for you who were joining us online. Thank you so much for staying with us. We have much more coming up. In fact, we're heading into our next panel discussion at this time, I believe, after this video is played. Turn your attention to the screen.
The government of Jamaica is now making it easier for businesses to import and export, with all related information now accessible on the Jamaica Trade Information Portal, and the required permits and licenses available through the Jamaica Single Window for Trade. Agencies continue to coordinate inspection of goods at the border, ensure the highest quality through accreditation of labs, and achieve the highest standards in products. The port community system has also allowed for the seamless movement of cargo. This is how we are building better business together. Enter Jamaica's gateway for doing business. Access the government business services you need in a user-friendly, unified virtual space. The Jamaica Business Gateway. The JBG allows easier communication between you and government ministries, departments, and agencies. Submit applications online through simplified processes. Monitor their progress on one dashboard and gain faster approvals than before. Visit JamaicaBusinessGateway.com, your one-stop shop for government business, service, information, and processes.
Seamless, coordinated, and faster. So before we get started in our next panel discussion, we're going to put back on the screen the QR code for our next round of questions. And for the persons joining us online, you're able as well to engage with us. Go ahead and scan that code, please. I hope I'm not standing and blocking the way for anybody. There we go. Because your engagement is absolutely important. We want you to go ahead and answer just 2 questions. Just 2 questions. Oh, the chair is blocking? Ooh. You may have to stand. I know, it's hard. You've been sitting all day. Have you gotten it? It's okay? Oh, it's blocking it still. All right, so here we are with the questions. Everybody's on now or no? Okay. So we're going to make sure that we put that back on the screen in a second. But for the persons who are on, these are the questions that you will see. Do you think that we are on the right track with business reforms in order to better position Jamaica as an attractive place to do business? And the options are there. Yes, we are making some good progress. More needs to be done, and no. And your honesty is absolutely necessary. That is the question that you'll see. You'll see another one as well. Can we put up that question? Have you seen progress in the business and investment landscape of Jamaica over the years? Yes, no, slow but steady, major improvements. Those are the questions that you will see. And we're going to put the QR code back up again. For the persons, you may have to stand if you're seated trying to do this, because the chairs are there and we're about to get started in our next panel discussion, so we can't move them just yet. So you may have to stand to get it. Don't you just love technology? To scan a bar and then you just lead you to a platform, ask you for your, you know, right? I love it. I just love that. All right, we're streaming online as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to our next panel discussion. It will be about capitalizing on business reforms to boost efficiency. We are so happy to have with us moderator Kenneth Reed, operations specialist from the Project Execution Unit. Kenneth is here. There he is. Please pardon me, I'm not working with a podium, so have to do this by hand, all right? You're going to invite up everybody else, right? Yeah, okay, all right.
Senator, the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Wayne Robertson and Mrs. Colette Robertson Risden, Mrs. Latoya Richards Franklin, Chief Technical Director in the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Mrs. Shalette Cox, President of JAMPRO, representatives of the World Bank, members of the National Competitiveness Council, agency heads, teams from implementing agencies, stakeholders, media practitioners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Pleasant good morning. It's still morning, right? I've been told I have limited time, so let's move on. Today, we delve in a very prominent topic. We're looking at capitalizing on business reforms to boost efficiency. Jamaica's journey towards enhancing the business environment and climate within which the private sector operates through strategic reforms has been ongoing and steady. The government of Jamaica, alongside the indomitable private sector, has embarked on a transformative path. Through concerted efforts, the government is reshaping the landscape to foster an environment where efficiency, productivity, and service excellence are not merely goals, but form the very foundation of our economic ethos. Our distinguished panel today brings together a unique blend of perspectives from both government and the private sector, each playing an important role in steering these reforms to ensure that we can capitalize on improvements. It is my pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's conversation. First, we have Mr. Andre Williams. Mr. Williams is the Chief Information Officer at the Jamaica Customs Agency and the Project Manager for the Jamaica Single Window for Trade, JSWIFT. Mr. Williams' work at the JCA and JSWIFT is at the forefront of revolutionizing trade facilitation, making it more seamless for local and international businesses to navigate the complexities of customs and border control. Welcome. Joining him is Mrs. Janine Chin, Project Manager of the Jamaica Business Gateway, which is an initiative which demonstrates GOJ's commitment to creating a supportive ecosystem for businesses to thrive and the broader digitized Jamaica direction. Welcome, Janine. On the side of the private sector, we welcome Mr. Donovan Wignall, the President of MSME Alliance. Mr. Wignall, through the MSME Alliance's perspective, has a unique insight into the challenges and opportunities facing our micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Welcome, Donovan. And finally, Mr. Dean Bradshaw, who is a former chairman of the Construction Industry Council, who brings a critical perspective as it relates to infrastructural backbone, which relies on strategic reforms, but also is the foundation for sustaining growth. The construction sector, of course, is pivotal in shaping a resilient economy, and Mr. Bradshaw's experience will shed light on the synergies between infrastructure development and business efficiency. Welcome, Dean. Now, I look forward to what will be a stimulating and really insightful discussion. And as I considered, and I know the refreshments must be very good as persons gather at the back, but as I considered the topic this morning, I remembered my own transition, and it may seem a bit off base, my own transition from primary school to high school. How does this connect back to capitalizing on business reforms to boost efficiency? Persons who are primary school goers in Jamaica will be able to connect with this. And I hope we have some primary school goers here this morning. Yes? And Debbie, when we played the national anthem this morning, primary school children, we love the national anthem. And we have a special part that we love within the national anthem. Yes? Jamaica. I actually thought that was a part of the national anthem until I went to my proper high school and that first devotion. And it got to my favorite part, Jamaica, and I was the only one. The only one echoing the boom. What is a reform? A reform is a change towards improvement, but sometimes it's not really a change, you just didn't know. And that's why this morning we're going to talk a little more about awareness, because the only way we can capitalize is if we are aware. So, let's move into it. I want to start by asking our government panel representatives to talk a bit about what are some of the most impactful reforms that are already in place or in progress that we think will have this positive impact or effect on the private sector. Janine, I'm going to ask if you can start.
All right, thanks for the question. So my initiative is the Jamaica Business Gateway. And when you really consider what kind of reform, what change is coming about, it goes to the very onus of what we spoke about this morning, doing business better and having better business in totality. And what that means for us is taking the pain points out of the application processes. As businesses, we have enough to worry about, so it gets very frustrating when you have these tons of papers and you're running from agency to agency. And so what the Business Gateway does is simplifies all of that. It's looking at the processes, seeing how do we get these online. And when we're working with all of government, of course, everyone is at different stages. Some processes are completely manual. You can't even download it from the internet. You have to go into the office. What we've been able to do is look at the processes, work with the agencies, as well as the private sector to say, what is it that makes this easier for you? And rework it completely. And so now, when we started the project, we started with this, looking at just 8 processes we'd put online. And very happy to know that come June, we'll have in excess of 45, where you're able to go online, you're able to see the information, because that's also another pain point, being able to understand what the steps are. So you can go to JamaicaBusinessGateway.com, look at what's involved, everything from starting to closing a business, understand the processes, start the applications, and have everything done online all the way through to decision. No more picking up the phone to find out where is my process. You're able to see all of that, track everything, and have everything done easier and better.
Thank you. Perfect, perfect. Andre, your perspective.
Well, as we know, cross-border trade involves obtaining approval from just about 22 different government agencies by way of a license, a permit, a certificate, or any other approval. And 90% of these agencies were offering a manual service. And there's a lot of back and forth. There may be multiple agencies involved. And we can understand the difficulty that this would have caused for importers and exporters. The Jamaica Single Window for Trade is one of those very impactful business reform initiatives, bringing about ease of access to government services. It's slated to digitize the services, not just digitize, but to reform and improve the services, removing redundancies where it is necessary, and streamlining processes between 20 different government agencies. Giving a full digital experience, ensuring that the information that is submitted only once, and passed, of course, importantly to customs for the processing of goods, whether it is import or export. We did hear the Minister speaking profoundly about the need for growth of the export market, and a number of services have been introduced which simplifies export, obtaining the certificate of origin from the Trade Board, for example, That service is now fully digitized and allows for exporters to gain ease of access into other countries. Of course, the certificates are now simplified and can be validated, and now it becomes a trusted point of truth. So that is business reform in terms of improving the service, ease of access, single payment, and of course, routing it to the respective government agencies, irrespective of who they are. It should be simple for our importers and exporters.
Okay. We're hearing a strong undertone of efficiencies. When the private sector looks at the body of reforms, what we're hearing, what we're experiencing, and the minister spoke about this, being about the bottom line. Are these reforms in line with creating the greatest impact to your bottom line? When you think about your members at MSME Alliance or at CIC, what is the thought? Is it in line? Is it really going to help your bottom line as a private sector? Who was that? Dean?
Yeah. Well, the process is important, yes, because it is in line with helping the bottom line, because efficiency is key. It helps productivity. In the construction sector, approval process is a big thing, trying to streamline it and get it quickly, making the transition from design to execution to completion. And, time is money. So, yes, the reform is important, and it's taking a step towards where we want to be. And there's still a journey to do. Even in the discussion before, the pace of digitalization needs to increase. So I would say yes, it will help the bottom. There are measures being put in place, not as quickly as you'd want it, but a step in the right direction. And events like this help to bring awareness and highlight things that we need to improve on and where we need to go. So.
Thank you, Dean. Donovan, from the MSME Alliance's perspective.
Well, entrepreneurs in general, the business community, and not just small business, but the entire country alike, would like to have systems and procedures in government that facilitates doing business and doing business efficiently. Efficiency in interacting with the various government departments does automatically translate to your bottom line. If you are using resources to stand in line, to sit and wait on something that really you should not be waiting on, processes that have you going back and forth unnecessarily, you're wasting time, and literally time is money. I was in a forum with the Prime Minister a couple of months ago, and he was addressing the very same issue. And his exact words were, if the process does not align with the outcome, then we need to rework the entire system to ensure that the processes align with the outcome. Now, I've been fortunate enough to have been working with the system, not just customs alone. Andre has seen me, from the very dark ages up until this point. And you could be walking on water yesterday, but today you're sinking like a stone. And that's how technology is. I've seen, the various government departments, the tax office, the customs department, the office of registrar of company, Ministry of Health, the trade board, Ministry of Agriculture. All of these places move leaps and bounds over the years. But what is that we need now? And with the fast pace of business, with the fast pace of business requirements, with the new type of entrepreneurs that we have, and with AI and all of that, we're going to ask some more. So the fact that you were here yesterday, you want more today. So the systems have to constantly evolve to satisfy the new requirements. The new entrepreneur, new business requirements, the evolving business requirements is something that, on a whole, not just the government, but even businesses themselves have to look at and have to adapt, not periodically, but constantly, to make sure that they're delivering what the clients want. And we could be government clients or we could be business clients, but definitely we have to be at a place where we constantly evolve. COVID, if I might just quickly say, caused us to move leap and bound over a very short period of time. But I think that now a lot of those things have become obsolete, so we need to look at new ways, new systems of doing business.
Thank you, Donovan. So we are hearing the pace and the need for change and the fact that the process must be aligned to the outcome.
Absolutely.
From the government perspective, are the expected results that we want to see as it relates to these reforms for the private sector, to what extent are we in line with those? And then I want to hear from the private sector panelists to see to what extent are the reforms really being responsive to those needs. So your expectations and what it is that the reforms are intended to do. And let us see if we have some alignment. What is intended from the JBG? What's intended from JSWIFT? And is it really serving the private sector's greatest purpose and solving some of those greatest pain points?
Well, what I could say about that is an instrumental step for us was consultation with the private sector. And some of the very pain points just experienced and some of the realities we have to confront were brought right on the table. We're in a fast-changing world. There's a need to be able to have agility and a synchronicity to what's being done. And so even in the development of the gateway, one thing that was very important for us is that we didn't duplicate efforts. We looked at what was happening with other government portals. We looked at the various processes and we saw ways in which we could improve not just the efficiency of the individual processes, but across other agencies. There are processes now that deal with productive input relief, ensuring that there are incentives for various sectors. And so we worked with the customs agency to say, how can our systems work together? How can we ensure that while we're building a digital process, you're a part of the conversation? And so our clients don't have to leave our system to go to another entity for that part of what needs to be done, because many things require consultation amongst ministries, departments, and agencies. So what's very critical is that feedback that the private sector shares and having the early conversations to ensure, as we're putting these things in place, it's really serving the purpose that's required and it can sustain as we go forward in the future.
Thank you, Janine. Andre, from the JSWIFT, from the customs perspective, what's the intention? What is expected?
It's very much aligned. Simplified processes that are easily accessible, reduce costs, transparency and accountability, and greater coordination between the respective agencies who are involved in the process. We've seen this at the forefront of the needs of our traders, and we have been working not just to identify the needs of the BRAs in terms of digitizing their processes, but looking at the pain points for the traders and ensuring that we also meet their needs. At the end of the day, the services that are being provisioned are to be used by them and is to satisfy the regulatory requirements. And we find that the simpler the processes are, removing mundane requirements as well, digitizing and moving data between agencies, for example, fully integrated with the Companies Office of Jamaica, fully integrated with the tax administration, with the customs system. So we only request what is required for the agency to carry out their function and ensure that we don't request the same data at another point in the process. And so we've seen a simplification of the process or the services that are being delivered. And then now it comes to the whole matter of the timeliness, the efficiency. That's what comes into scope. And we have been working with the respective agencies now to improve on the turnaround time. Donovan just mentioned it. It may have been at 48-hour service, now we're at 24 hours, now we're down to 1 bit within a business day. He's going to need it back in an hour. So how can we improve our processes while still carrying out our regulatory functions? And so we are always in that constant process of improvement.
Thank you, Andre. Constant improvement, need for feedback. And the minister mentioned this morning about the need for more agitation from the private sector.
Yes.
And we're hearing about the need for feedback. And we talk about a constantly changing environment. Is there more? What can be done? When you think about the work at MSME Alliance or through the CIC, what else can be done to help to agitate so that we get that kind of feedback to ensure that we have better streamlining of these reforms? Is there anything else that can be done?
As far as agitation is concerned, I mean, and as far as engagement is concerned, I think we're there. They have engaged us, the private sector, I think, on every single committee. And when I look around the room, I see the JAMPRO people, you know, Sharif, you know, we're there. And I just want to commend the minister for his style of management. He brings a very private sector style to, you know, a government situation, which is actually very good. As far as agitation is concerned, I mean, people can say sometimes that probably I'm one of the most miserable people on some of those committees because I ask those questions and we demand a lot of stuff. Unfortunately for us, I mean, those things are considered. And, you know, I like the mode of consultation that has been taking place, and I like the fact that there are finite timelines for implementing everything that is suggested in the group. It's not that we're going to meet and it becomes a talk shop where we sit in perpetuity and talk about stuff and nothing is done. I see where action is being taken. I see where stuff is being implemented. You know, the MSME policy, I'm seeing changes being made. We had one that was implemented a couple years ago. It's been revamped now. I see the different departments, the trade board, the ORC, the Bureau of Standards, all those places are on these committees and are fielding questions from the private sector as to why this is not happening. Why don't we have minimum standards in delivering what you are collecting a fee to do? And those people are, in other cases, asked to find the answers and come back to the next committee and, meeting and respond. So I like it, right? And only good results can come out of that. And I think we are there. I have to commend the Customs Department. Not that they're walking on water now, but they're very close to it. As far as efficiency and interacting with those departments are concerned, at one point in time, I must tell you that we used to have a big crowd at Customs House. So you walk inside the door and you have to fight in a line to get things done. Everybody stays at their office now, they submit their entries and make the payment, and not just the Customs Department, but the Tax Department as well. I think the ORC needs a little work. Ministry of Health and Trade Board probably needs a little work, but we have almost, not quite yet, but the gold standard of where it's supposed to be. And I think we're getting there, but, you know, more work needs to be done, and we have to, as I said before, constantly evolve.
Thank you, Donovan, for actually a good summary of some tangible manifestation of the reforms. Dean, anything from the Construction Industry Council's side of things? What more do you think can be done to help with agitating towards this change that is in the form of these various reforms?
Well, firstly, I welcome the encouragement by the minister to, as he used the term, agitate, you know, because I even took a note that I'll go back to my bodies to encourage them to put things in writing, to lobby and present our concerns. But part of the whole process and improving and reaching where we want to be is that you have to, and part of agitating, you have to utilize the services and then be able to critique, see where we're short for. Because we know where we want to be and where we want to go. But there are processes or steps in the system that need tweaking here and there. And so therefore, utilizing them and partaking in it and commenting, then we know where we want to improve.
All right. Thank you, Dean. As we wrap up and as we look and we move forward, and we really want to provide you each with an opportunity, in 30 seconds or less, to give a call to action. For government panelists, I want you to extend a call to action to the private sector. What do you need from them? What is required as we move forward with the agenda? But from our private sector panelists, I want you to say something to government, but also to your peers as it relates to moving forward. And I'll invite Dean and then Donovan to go.
All right, well, from my standpoint and where we sit on the council, Construction Industry Council, one of the main things that I see is resources. The systems are there, but you have to provide the resources for them to work. So the minister made mention of DAC and JDAP. For example, in particular JDAP, there are those 3 municipalities now that it is rolling out. So if the other municipalities need that service, the internet connection, personnel, because one of the things with approval process, you want to digitize, yes, but there's still an aspect of the human element in there, in the back office then. And if you don't have the resources to keep that, for that to function, then the automation which you're expecting the speed will not be matched with the processing, right? So resources, so personnel, systems, that is what from the private sector now, we need to take up and utilize these services so that we can provide the feedback to the government agencies so that we see where it needs to be tweaked, what needs to be improved, and we head there.
Thank you, Dean. Donovan.
All right, so from us to the public sector, if it's not measured, it's not done. It makes no sense you implement reforms and then leave it at that. You have to measure the outcomes that you sought when you first started the process. You have to have basic standards of services that you have to guarantee, the public sector was actually paying the taxes and paying you. The next thing is, where there's a line, there's always room for corruption. Eliminate the lines, eliminate the weight, and eliminate the incentive for people to want to do stuff that they're not supposed to do, to probably, do a thing to get around. And if you eliminate the lines, you'll eliminate that aspect of the landscape which we see. From the private sector point of view, it makes no sense we just sit and complain and not take action. Be a part of the change, be a part of the process. We have to be the change that we want to see. It sounds cliche, but it's actually very true. So therefore, going to those places, be a part of the, try and join the committees like us, try and give the input, say exactly what you want. And I'm sure at the end of the day, when you agitate for that, then the people who are in charge of making those changes happen will do their best to implement, as is the case of what we are going through right now with the different committees, Sharifa, that we're sitting on, the different places that we sit, the different, when we make the noises, they listen and they adapt and they change. So as far as the jam pros are concerned, the NCCs, the different places, the different committees that they have, the private sector participants are concerned. We have a responsibility to give our input. They have a responsibility to listen and try and implement.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Donovan. Janine.
All right. Well, the Jamaica Business Gateway is a tangible manifestation of the reforms. And so it is very important that we continue the work. The portal has been developed. Persons can go and read content and apply, but we have to continue engaging. We still need persons to be a part of the process. And so I would invite our business partners to visit the website, jamaicabusinessgateway.com, look at the content, look at the applications that are available. We are continuing to expand, and so there are more processes that will be added in short order. But give the feedback, because it's with the use that we're able to identify areas that we can continue to improve, and we look forward to the continued partnership.
Thank you, Janine. And Andre?
I could almost say ditto to what Janine said. We are moving from inline to online, and as Dean mentioned, we want to encourage persons to have a faster take-up of the services. We can only move as fast as there's an acceptance. And feedback as well, it's absolutely critical. We have really fostered a much closer working relationship, not only with the users of the service or the stakeholder groups, but also within the scope of the government agencies as well, and we continue to tweak our processes to make it that much more efficient. We have our monthly meetings, Donovan's aware as well, our quality assurance meetings, where we get the feedback from the wider stakeholder groups, and we look at it collectively, not individually, to see how best we can improve our services. So again, we welcome the feedback, welcome the participation, and also persons onboarding to the services. They are being provided. We have another 60 services to come in the next quarter or two, and we want to encourage persons to go ahead and use it. They want to realize the benefit as soon as they get on, they don't stop. But to start is that first step. So we encourage them to move online.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, panelists. Thank you very much for your insights. I think we have just a few quick takeaways. This sounds like there's good alignment between what the government intends and what the private sector is expecting. And we hear some themes of feedback, and to continue to push on the good work in terms of building out these reforms. So thanks again, panelists, and thank you, participants, for engaging. Before we leave, I believe we are taking questions from the audience or from online, if there are any. All right. I'm going to say that you did well. There are no questions. So thanks again.
Set up a business, though you not fi have contacts and big links to get your business sort out. Talk about business, better business. Now it easy, you have to set up a business.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, capitalizing on business reforms to boost efficiency. Jamaica. I was saying Jamaica boom, but I mean, you know, that's what I mean, Kenneth, okay, because, okay. I just thought like Kenneth had, you know, reminded us of a good old time, you know? I mean, as an adult now, you can't really say that, right? People look at you sideways like, what are you doing to the anthem? But seriously, we want Jamaica to boost with a boom. So we say Jamaica, boom, there we go. But we want to also just make sure that you remember that we are building. There we go, that's it. Thank you so much again to the panelists for presenting and for offering us some good insight and some good information. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with the QR code. Audio check. Back with the QR code on the screen. So get your out one. Audio check. Check that. We're still drawing. Oh, all right. Question. Efficiency, yes, no, public only, private only. Those are the options. Oh, all right. That's a loud one. That's a boom. That's a boom boom. All right, so please go ahead and answer those questions. Remember to hit submit so we can get your responses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we must tell you thank you so much for your presence and your patience and your attention. Thank you for being here with us from morning, and we're still going strong. We are towards now the end of the proceedings. And you know we can't wrap up without us giving you a proper thank you. So we're going to be inviting at this time Mrs. Diane Edwards, Attorney at Law and President of the Women's Entrepreneurial Network of the Caribbean, WINC, to come on up to give us the official vote of thanks. That's not Diane.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for staying and being here with us. All acknowledgements and all protocols have been observed, so I can just say that this has been a wonderful afternoon. I know that you have come here and you have left, you're going to leave with an immense amount of knowledge. During the course of the morning, what I'd like to think are the golden nuggets that we gained from all of this information. The minister left us with some targets. He threw down a challenge. He indicated to us that we should go forth and be rich. He wanted us also to recognize as private sector individuals that we need to utilize what this agenda has given to us. The challenge is that we cannot be complacent. The government has put in place certain strategies and they're continuing to ensure that there's change, but we need to challenge, we need to communicate, and that does not mean to be miserable. We need to agitate. Agitate and being miserable are two different things. We need to offer constructive criticism, because in the end, what we're trying to do as private and public sector is to ensure that in the end, efficiency leads to productivity that leads to us all being rich, richer. Okay, so it's an ongoing process. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. And one of the things we need to recognize, JAMPRO, the ministry, and the implementing agencies, is that as private sector, we are so grateful for what you're doing. I don't think anybody has indicated how happy we are that we're working together in a spirit of consensus and collaboration. So the thank you is not only for your presence, but also for the work that you're doing. And also for what I don't think we are recognizing, that Jamaica is on a path to being the gold standard for all the other Caribbean countries. And we want to thank you again for laying that benchmark down and that challenge for others to follow. Thank you so much.
And we say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the morning's proceedings, well, the afternoon proceedings. We say thank you again for being here with us. We look forward to the continued partnership between the government and the private sector as we build better businesses together. We know the discussions will continue because we're inviting you all to stay behind, enjoy some refreshments, network, have conversations, and make sure that you connect with someone before you do leave. Also, for the videos that we saw earlier on the screen, and I believe there are several more online, we encourage you all to visit JAMPRO website and also the JAMPRO TV platform on YouTube, where you'll see all the videos there. And we cannot wrap up without hearing the full version of this song by Agent Sasco. They have a music, right? Exactly. Where's the music video? Mrs. Cox.
So no it easy, you have to set up
Let
a
us talk about it. We gotta build it, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to be here with you. My name is Debbie Bissoon. Have a wonderful rest of day. And let's continue building better businesses in Jamaica. Jamaica, hey, Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Real estate, more convenience.
Every registered company in Jamaica has what we refer to as beneficial owners. These are the natural persons who own a company or exercise influence over the management and staff in its operation. The Companies Act has been amended, and all companies in Jamaica are now required to state their beneficial owner or owners. Doing so allows for transparency, accountability, and the protection of all owners of the company. It also promotes Jamaica as a safe place for investments, improves the international reputation of our business and financial sectors, and creates opportunities for Jamaican companies to trade and be more financially included. While this is not required for persons registering business names, companies must provide information about their beneficial owners. Visit bohubjamaica.com or contact the Companies Office of Jamaica to learn more. This is how you and the government of Jamaica will build better business together. As Jamaica develops its construction industry, there are several reforms to ensure sound planning and development of the highest standards. National spatial planning and detailed development orders to guide planning across parishes and communities. First-class building codes to ensure international standards. The Jamaica Development Applications Portal for online submissions, payments, and tracking of building and environmental permits. Supported by an improved Amanda system for agencies to review and approve applications. This is how we are building a better Jamaica together.
Doing business better business. So now it easy, you have to set up a business. Though you not have to have contacts and big links to get your business sort out. Talk about business better business. Now it easy, you have to set up a business. So you not have to have contacts and big links to get your business sort out. Talk about Jamaica Business Gateway. One single window for cross-border trade. Construction permit, real estate. More convenience, less red tape. The application portal online. So you not fit and open on a long line. That's business faster, improved process. That means smarter, that means no stress.
Visit JamaicaBusinessReforms.com to learn how we are building better business together. Sponsored by JAMPRO and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.